welcome to my comp recap from this year's British. This was supposed to be filmed a while ago. However, we picked up, don't know if you can really see him, this little guy, our little puppy, the day after I competed, and it's just been very chaotic ever since, which is obviously not a surprise. So I haven't got around to filming much. I want to just jump straight in. I haven't got the footage from the stream of my session because the stream didn't work, so squats didn't get uploaded from our session, which is really annoying because squats are the one that I want to watch back the most. And basically White Lights are going to be uploading the stream at some point to YouTube, but it just hasn't been done yet. So I'm just going to upload the videos that my friend took, which aren't the best quality because they're obviously quite zoomed in, but you'll be able to see the lifts, or well, the lifts that were like my heavier lifts of the day, my better lifts. But I'll talk you through the plan, I'll talk you through how it all went. Before I do that, I think we should probably talk about me making weight. So normally when it comes to making weight, I just diet down to 84. Like I find it pretty easy to just diet myself down. Sometimes if I'm a little bit heavier, like let's say 84.5 to 85, I will just do like a little bit of a gut cut, like 1, maybe 2 days maximum. But I've always found it pretty easy to make weight. Now this time, I basically, when I did Commonwealth 6 weeks before British, I said to myself, I don't want to diet down when I get home. Like I could not, like I needed that mental break from trying to stay light. So I said to my boyfriend, I was like, I'm going to just maintain like 86-ish kilograms into British, and I'm just going to do more of a last minute acute weight cut. Like it's fine. I coach nutrition. I know what I'm doing. It's not going to be a problem. I just, I'm just going to do that instead. It'll be fine. And it'll be interesting to see how I perform, because as much as this British was important because I had a chance at podium, it wasn't the be all and end all if I didn't get podium. Like I'm not really gaining anything from podium at this comp. It's just a nice thing to obviously achieve. And that it would also be good to just see kind of how I perform with that cut. So I maintained 86. 1 week out, I was 86 on the dot. So then from that day, so that was the Saturday. So then Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, I started a little bit of macro manipulation, which is basically where I was reducing my carbs and I was increasing my fats to keep my calories the same each day. However, I was reducing my carb intake, which basically just helps with water retention and just helps you drop a little bit through that. So I did that. I also cut out creatine, which is where I'm a little bit, I think this is where things maybe didn't go quite as well as they normally would. So when I've dropped creatine in the past, I've dropped like 1 to 1.5 kilos. Like I just have, like it's without doubt. Like this time, I didn't really seem to drop anything, which is fine. It doesn't matter because I wasn't heavy enough that I needed to depend on it. But I cut creatine out on the Monday, possibly the Sunday, I can't remember, which gave me enough time for the weight to sort of start to drop off from cutting out creatine. That didn't happen. When it got to Wednesday, I think I was mid 85s, 85.5-ish. So I still had one larger meal on the Wednesday, which was just a calorie dense meal. I think it was like mostly like eggs, fatty meats, cheese. Like it was the start of my gut cut, but I was light enough that I knew I could still have a decent meal, which I had at lunchtime, just that I wasn't feeling too hungry or anything going into the cut. And then Thursday, Friday was more just kind of liquid calories, nuts. Like that was pretty much it. Like it was smoothies, protein shakes, almonds basically. And that was what I had all of Thursday and Friday. So Thursday, I've made a note of it on my phone, what I actually weighed in. So on the Thursday, I weighed, let me find it. Okay, so on the Thursday, I was 85.2. On the Friday, now this is where I knew things weren't great, I was 85.1. So I dropped 100 grams from the first day of my gut cut. Historically, I've dropped more like 0.5 kilo to 0.7 of a kilo, which is what I was kind of expecting. So I was expecting to wake up one day out approximately 84.5 to 84.7-ish, based on the fact that I also went to bed on the Thursday at 85.8, and typically I drop over a kilo overnight. Like it's pretty unheard of for me to drop less, even when I've done like small gut cuts in the past. Like I would expect to lose at least a kilo overnight. I didn't. So I woke up at 85.1 on the Friday, which I knew again was fine. Like even if I woke up at 85.1 on the Saturday, I knew logically I could still make weight, no problem. It was just going to be harder than what I probably wanted it to be, because obviously it'd be nice just to be able to walk in and weigh in. But I kind of knew, and all of the Friday I was just kind of overthinking the fact that I was obviously going to have to do some sort of like sweating out, spitting or something on the Saturday, depending on what I depending on what I woke up at. So I woke up on the Saturday at 85.0. I did sleep pretty well the Saturday night. Oh, not the Saturday night, the Friday night, so the night before comp. I slept pretty well, which is good, which doesn't always happen for comps. But I think because I wasn't nervous about lifting, the only thing I was kind of nervous for, or not nervous for, but dreading, was making weight. I had a bath in my hotel room, so I always knew all along that that was an option. I made sure to book a hotel room that had either a bath or a sauna. I'd rather a bath, I think, just so I can do it more in private and just keep checking my weight. So I got in the hot bath when I woke up. I think I woke up about 8-ish, and I woke up naturally as well, like before my alarm, so that was quite good. I felt like rested when I got up. So I ran myself a hot bath. Now, the only issue with me in hot baths, or just any baths, like when I have a relaxing bath at home, this also happens, my blood pressure drops, and I get quite dizzy when I have a bath and go lightheaded. So I have to be a little bit careful. And for this comp, I travelled alone. I stayed in the hotel alone. And I had to drive to the venue alone. So I was obviously a bit cautious of the fact that I needed to make sure I didn't feel too rough from sweating out some body weight, or just sweating out, that I could still get myself safely to the venue. So I didn't want to be overly drastic with it. Typically with hot baths, you do like roughly 15-minute stints, depending on what you can kind of tolerate. I was literally doing like 6-7 minute stints, because I just knew if I did any more than that I would feel really terrible. So I was hot bath, get out, spit, hot bath, get out, spit, and I was doing that, to be fair, only for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and I got myself down to, I think by 9 o'clock I was 84.5. So at that point I was like, right, I'll do one more quick hot bath, a little bit of spitting, and then I'll see where I'm at. And I left the hotel at 84.4. And I was happy with that, because I knew when I got to the venue, whatever I weighed, I would be able to then mitigate when I'm at the venue. But I didn't want a hot bath anymore, because I was starting to feel really rough. I did think though, so I was sucking on sour sweets. I was sucking on Tang Fast sticks while I was spitting. And I think actually sucking on the sour sweets, because they've got the sugary coating on the outside, was helping me feel less rough. So it was quite a nice system to help me get my weight down. But yeah, then I went to the venue to check my weight. Checking my weight itself was a bit of a fiasco, because I couldn't get to the weigh-in room, because no one was around the back door to let me in, because the weigh-in room that I was using, or like my session we're using, was like round the back into the side of the building. No one was in that room to let me in, because you can't let yourself in from outside. So then I had to wait for the session that was lifting to finish to be allowed to go and check my weight. So I weighed in about an hour and 10 minutes before the official weigh-in opened, and I was 84.3, and that was completely naked. I always weigh in completely naked, just because even if I'm light, it's better to, weigh in as light as possible. So I was 84.3, which I was annoyed I was 84.3, but I knew I was fine, but it was just like, ugh, this next hour is going to suck kind of thing. Because I knew as well, like, the most I'll naturally lose in an hour is about 100 grams, and it was a very cold day as well. So I went and sat in my car, had my hoodie, my coat on, hood zipped, like everything zipped up, hood over my head, proper like cuddled into my coat. I had the heating on full blast in my car. My face was like in front of the heater for an hour solid, and I was just spitting in a cup. And I knew I'd make it, but I didn't feel great. And doing that, obviously I don't want anyone sat next to me when I'm spitting in a cup, like that would be disgusting. Like Lewis, who handled me, was like, why don't you just stand in front of the heater in the venue and just spit? It's like, I'm not spitting in front of anyone. I'm gonna go spit in the car. Even though it's a very normal thing that people do to make weight. So I went back to the weigh-in room at just before 12. I didn't get a chance to check my weight, because they actually started weighing slightly early, I think, because there were so many of us for them to get through, which hats off to the refs. They got through us really quickly. So I sat in the waiting area waiting to weigh in with my hoodie up, like my coat up over my head, like my hood up over my head, zipped up, like just curled in the corner, kind of just hoping to sweat off any excess. It's one of those things where like I knew I was realistically either very close or I'd made it, and if I was very close, then I'll just kind of go do what I need to do to make it before the window shuts. But also, like, obviously I just want to be able to weigh in and get it done. I did have a headache by this point as well. I think when I got to the venue, before I'd even checked my weight the first time, I could feel my headache was starting to appear. But I was very confident that the second I had weighed in, I would be fine. I just needed to get past that weigh-in, and then I'll be fine. Like, I know how to rehydrate. I've got everything I need to feel good when I lift. I just need to get on those scales, get into the competition, and then everything would come together and be fine. So anyway, I weighed in 84.1, and then it shot down to 84.0. Like, I saw the 84.1, it flickered on there to start with, and I literally was just like, please don't do this to me. But no, it came up as 84 on the dot, so that was perfect. It settled there. So I got off the scales, handed my openers in, And then I sat down and took some paracetamol instantly for my headache and just started drinking my electrolytes and had some creatine mixed in with them as well, which I don't normally do on comp day, to be fair, but I was like, you know what, it's not going to do any harm, might as well. So I mixed my creatine in with my electrolytes and I just started drinking that. Had an apple as well, just to get a bit more sugar in my system. Did my kit check, and then I think I had a bread roll, another apple, and I just kept drinking, obviously. I did still have a headache. I think I had a headache the entire session, to be honest. My headache just didn't go away. I made sure to go get some fresh air after I'd weighed in and like started to eat and drink and stuff as well to try and help, which did help a little bit. But I kind of just accepted that I was probably just going to have a headache, which is fine. It is what it is. So I took some ibuprofen as well just before I started warming up. And I was going to do that anyway just to help my elbow, just so I was distracted from any pain in that. Like, I haven't had to take ibuprofen for training for a long time because my elbow had improved a little bit. But obviously on comp day, like, I don't want to notice any niggles. Like, I just want to be able to just kind of perform at the best and not even think about it. So basically, I felt okay. I was very, very confident that once I'd weighed in, I would be fine. And I definitely was. Like, I just needed to get past the weigh-in section and then I was all right. So then we move on to the lifting. So my original plan for this comp was basically going to be open with the same numbers that I did at Commonwealth, and just if I feel stronger than I did at Commonwealth, because I didn't feel strong at Commonwealth, which I think is a very important thing for people to remember. Like, I didn't feel strong on the day at Commonwealth, but I was as strong as I needed to be, and the attempt selection was good enough that I made the podium. Oh, hello. He's literally like a little baby. So I originally was going to open at 170 on squat, but 3 weeks out I did my last heavy session and I squatted 190. So 175 was my last warm up and then I jumped to 190, and this was 3 weeks out. And the 175 I messed up, like I fell forwards a little bit on my toes and it just felt harder than it should. So then I did 190 and it flew. Like, it was so easy. And it was in that moment I was like, if I wasn't competing in 3 weeks, I would load 200 right now. But obviously I had to be sensible because I was competing in 3 weeks. So in that moment, I was like, I potentially could load up to 200 kilos at British. Like, I know I have the strength for 200, and I've said this for a good couple of months now. Like, I have the strength for 200. Like, the stars just need to align that I feel good enough on the day to load it. So I spoke to Lewis on a call about a week out, or I think it's just a few days out, to talk about my openers and stuff. And we kind of agreed to open at 175 with the plan to be jump to 190, providing things feel good, and then just kind of go from there and see what's left. Otherwise, we would just do a 10 kilo jump to 185, and then again, just see what's kind of there. When it came to actually squatting on the day, so I felt really good in the warm-ups. Like, warm-ups felt fine. The only thing I noticed was I was getting a little bit of cramp in my upper back at the final portion of my squats. So I didn't notice it until my second to last warm-up. I didn't actually say anything either. Like, I just completely ignored it. And because it was only at the lockout as well. Like, it was a very weird place to get cramp in my back, but it was literally the last, like, not even quarter of the squat. So I ignored it. And it was just in my upper back anyway, which I was like, it's my upper back, it's fine. So I opened at 175 as planned, and it felt pretty terrible. I want to watch it back because I want to see if it moved as bad as it felt. And it wasn't even like a misgroove. Like, I just forgot what to do. Like, I don't think I fully braced, and I think my positioning was definitely off, but like, it was just a terrible squat. But I knew I could squat 190. Like, firstly, I knew I wasn't ever going to go 1 for 3 on squats. Like, I was adamant that whatever we loaded for my second, I was going to hit. So I was like, we might as well just load 190 because I know I am too stubborn to miss my second squat. So we loaded 190, and it was hard, don't get me wrong, like, it was hard, but I was very confident going in that I knew I could squat 190 on any given day. Like, I know I had the strength for more than 190, so on a terrible day, 190 is there. And I didn't think this was a terrible day at all. Like, I felt decent warming up. It was just that opener that didn't feel great, but then I also said to myself at the back, I was like, openers don't ever feel good, especially on squats, because you're nervous, so just brush it off and just get it right on the next one. So I did the 190, and again, it was slow. It was a bit of a grind. I haven't got a video of it. I would really like to see it back because I think it moved similarly to my third, maybe slightly faster, but it didn't move well. But I did the 190, and then we loaded 195 for my third because I don't think either me or Lewis were confident that I had 195, but he said to me after squats, he was like, I'm going to be honest, I just didn't see the point in loading 2.5. And I literally said the same thing, like, what's the point in a 2.5 jump at that weight? Like, percentage wise, you might as well just load the 5 and see what happens, because Tash, who was my closest competitor, she squatted 190, so, well, she put 190 in for her third, so we knew worst case scenario we were matched on squats, and that's fine. Like, my bench and her deadlift, like, they were the two that I think were most important to make up the difference, and determine who was going to place third or fourth. So yeah, we loaded 195, and I just took it a little bit more seriously, tried a little bit harder, and it went well. Like, it was slow, but I mean, it was 195. But also, it was a 2.5 PB from a comp 6 weeks ago, and 192 at Commonwealth. Granted, I did misgroove that one. Like, my balance was completely off, and I started, like, windmilling the bar. But 2.5 PB, 6-week turnaround, I'm very happy with that. And the 195 was slow and steady as well. Like, I was confident the whole way through. So I'm really happy with that. Going on to bench, I was a little bit nervous that I was going to suffer from cramping, because I knew I'd noticed my cramping in my upper back on squats. Sorry, I'm getting so distracted by him on my lap. So yeah, I was a little bit worried about cramping, but actually, bench felt fantastic. Warm-ups didn't feel fantastic. Warm-ups felt normal, I would say. Like, it didn't feel like a good day, didn't feel like a bad day. It just kind of felt normal, which we were opening at 105. We probably weren't going to load more than 112 logically anyway, because there's no point really taking a 5 kilo jump to my third unless my second flew. So especially because we'd already got the 5 kilo advantage on squats over Tash as well. Like, we needed to kind of play it a bit more safe now, just to keep myself kind of ahead. So that I didn't need to Hail Mary a deadlift that we didn't know if I'd have, because my squat and my bench are my two more reliable lifts. So yeah, warming up, I kind of just felt normal, but I know on a normal day, I can bench 112. So I was, again, fairly confident and happy, but I forgot we had the softer Lico pad on the platform. So I went out to do my opener at 105, and I cannot tell you, it felt like an empty bar. I will be honest, the lift off that I got, I felt like I took all the weight, which isn't great, but it's fine. It's not a problem. So 105, so easy, like so easy, to the point where Lewis actually said to me he would have confidently loaded 112 for my second. But again, we might as well play it safe, load the 110. Now this is where things went a little bit wrong, because I got called for elbow depth, which is really annoying, because I sat up from the 110, I looked at Lewis, and I actually said 115. Like, I wanted him to load 115, and I didn't think 115 would be difficult either. Like, that's the strongest I've felt on bench probably ever. Like, he could have loaded 115, and I would have hit 115. Maybe not with elbow depth, apparently. So my second got 2-to-1 good lift originally, and then it got overturned for elbow depth, which, to be fair, I did tuck more than normal on my second. Like, if you've been watching my videos for a while or my training, like, I used to be a very tucked bencher, and to help with elbow depth, I've recently started flaring a little bit more. It does also help my positioning as well, to be fair, flaring slightly more, but I've just got to be a bit careful not to flare too much, because it hurts my shoulders. And I think on my second, I just kind of reverted back to old habits, and I tucked a bit too much. So for my third, I went out for 110 again, like, we just repeated it to play it safe. And it was so comfortable. It was so easy. It's just annoying, because I think had I not have made that silly error on my second, we could have hit 115 on the platform, which would have been so good. But it doesn't matter. Like, the takeaway for me is that I've got the strength for more than 110 on the platform. I mean, I've done 112 before, but, like, I've got the strength for 115 plus already. So what am I going to do next time I'm on the platform? So bench was fine, 2 for 3, but I got, like, it was an elbow depth call, which I'm not mad at an elbow depth call. Like, it's annoying, but it is what it is. Elbow depth it's not a rule worth getting mad about, because everyone judges it so differently anyway. Like, I'm just accepting is what it is. And I know mine can look iffy if I tuck, so it's fine. So I got 110, and then we got into deadlifts. So I was feeling pretty good going into deadlifts. We kind of worked out the most I would probably need to pull is about 185 to 190 anyway. So we went through deadlifts, and I felt decent warming up, actually. Like, again, I didn't feel amazingly strong, but I didn't feel weak. Like, I felt normal. I felt fine, which means I was confident, because as long as I don't feel bad, I feel confident, if that makes sense. And deadlift was the one that I was actually most excited to see how it went, because I'd had more deadlift volume in training recently than I had in a long time, like over a year, just because of injury and stuff. So I was really excited to see how the taper paid off, especially because at Commonwealth, deadlifts felt so terrible. So we opened at 165, so we actually opened a little bit lighter for deadlifts, just because there was no need to open heavier. Like, I wasn't pushing for deadlift PBs. I was pushing to pull what I needed to secure third place. So we opened a little bit lighter at 165. That gave us the option to jump whatever we need. Like, I'm happy with a 15 kilo jump. Like, we could have jumped straight to 180 if we needed to. We didn't need to. We jumped to 177. And again, like, it felt fine. Like, it felt easy. It felt comfortable. I would have been confident loading 190 to 192, but we didn't need it. We kind of just agreed 187 was enough, and it was. So I went 8 for 9 overall. I felt like this is going to be a really shit recap, just for the fact that I haven't got videos of all of my attempts, so it's literally just me talking, but I'm sorry. I went 8 for 9. So on squats, I hit 2.5 PB, I hit 195. On bench, I hit 2.5 below my best ever, which was 110. And then on deadlifts, I hit 187, which is also 2.5 below my best ever pull. But that meant my total was 492.5, which is a 5 kilo total PB from literally 6 weeks before. So I'm really happy with how that went. Like, my goal for Commonwealth, my goal for British was to hit PBs. Essentially, like, I really just want to chip my PBs from Commonwealth, if I'm honest. Like, I didn't expect an amazing total. What I was incredibly happy with, though, with the way British was that I had the strength for more. I had the strength for 500 that day. Like, I definitely had another 5 on bench. I absolutely had another 2.5 on deadlift, and that would have given me 500. So I am fully confident that when I next compete, which I don't know when that's going to be, my total will be in the 500s. It won't be 500, it will be in the 500s. So that's a really nice feeling. I came third, which was a massive thing. Like, as a junior, there were a few times where I was very close to third, or like I was expected to come third at British, and just due to like silly mistakes and silly errors and stuff, it never happened. So it felt really good to finally get that podium spot. Like, one thing I think I've done really well this year is just kind of allowed myself to grow as a powerlifter. I think in the past I've been very stubborn in where I think my strength is and my numbers, that I've not really played the game as well as I should, where this year I've definitely grown with that. And also I'm a lot more confident on the platform as well. Like, the confidence I had with squats after my opener felt terrible, to then still end up squatting 20 kilos more than my opener for my third. Like, that wouldn't have happened 6 months ago, let alone a year ago. So I'm really proud of the growth that I've had kind of on the platform this year, considering I've only competed 3 times as well, like, as in 3 times this year, obviously. I'm very happy. I did what I wanted to at British. Like, I came third at British as well. I was thinking this the other day, like, because my total, I don't see my total as impressive. Like, I really don't. There's a lot more that I need to lift before I consider my total impressive. But I just came third at the biggest British yet. I can't remember how many 84s. There was like 20-ish 84s at this British. That's the most 84s we've had at a British, I'm fairly sure. Like, usually we're lucky to get like 10, if that, like 8. I think last year there was literally like 8 of us. So for me to come third at the biggest British yet is a huge achievement, and I am genuinely really proud of that. But obviously there's lots of work to do, ready for future comps. I think this also guarantees me a spot at next year's British, which means technically I can have a 12-month off season if I want to. I'm not going to do that, because I think having a long off season last winter, like I had 10 months between Manchester Open 2023 and All England's this year, I think in that time I forgot how to perform on the platform. So I think I still want to do a couple of comps this year as well as British, or like this next year. But I'm fairly sure I've secured my place for next year. I also want to get my qualifying total a little bit higher too, because if they do prime times, like, I want myself to be in prime time. But yeah, I think that's all I've got to say for now. I feel like this has been a pretty terrible comp recap. The actual comp itself, though, was great. Like, I'm really grateful to Lewis for handling me. Like, I think I would have found that warm-up room much more, like, overwhelming. Like, I get very overstimulated very easily in, like, busy environments when it comes to lifting. Like, even just going to a busy gym or a new gym, like, I get really overstimulated. And that warm-up room was chaotic. There was 6 racks between 2 flights of lifters, the 84 and the 120s. There was 6 racks for all of us. So it was quite a chaotic warm-up room, and everyone knows people sneak into warm-up rooms as well, so it was quite busy in there. So I'm very grateful to Lewis that I was able to just, like, detach from the situation and just kind of, I don't know, just kind of be in my own little bubble, which definitely worked really well for me for this comp, and helped me perform my best. So it was a very good comp. I'm very happy with how it went. Don't think I've really got much else to say. Like, I'm not happy with my numbers, but I'm happy that I had room, and I know I have more strength, and I think I'm really happy that I'm on track to hit numbers I'm proud of next year, I guess. But yeah, I'm going to wrap the video up here, because this has probably been the worst comp recap I've ever done. I am really distracted by this puppy that is just sat on my lap, like, sound asleep, and he's being really, really cute. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm also very sleep deprived. I literally haven't slept a full night since the night before British, so very excited for when I finally get a full night's sleep again. But I'm going to wrap this up here. If you've made it to the end, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Please like, please comment, let me know how you think the comp went, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you soon for the next video.